Because of the massive delays in the release of MechWarrior 2, FASA decided not to continue licensing BattleTech to Activision. This meant Activision could only continue to make BattleTech games if they were still called MechWarrior 2. So, in a desperate bid for cash, they phoned in this hunk of crap. Ghost Bear's Legacy is an expansion to MechWarrior 2, featuring some unfinished bits that were left on the cutting room floor of the original game. Frankly, I think most of them should have stayed there. The game feels rushed and unfinished, which makes sense as it was released in 1995, the same year as Mech 2, and Mercenaries was released the year after. Expansion packs for MechWarrior games don't have a great track record. Black Knight for MechWarrior 4 added a few mechs and a mediocre campaign, and Pirate's Moon for Mech 3 took the difficulty curve and tied it to a weather balloon. Ghost Bears isn't an exception to the rule, I'll tell you that. The campaign is from the perspective of Clan Ghost Bear, who while fighting against the Inner Sphere have their genetic legacy stolen by the Draconis Combine. But wait, they were just Draconis mechs piloted by Wolf Clan. Or wait, maybe it was the Smoke Jaguars. Or wait, maybe it was the Draconis Combine under the orders of the Wolf Clan stealing Falcon mechs to raid a facility to capture Inner Sphere mechs to stage a fake assault on the genetic legacy. Or maybe it was stupid to begin with and you shouldn't even bother. Individual merit of the story aside, the storytelling is a large step back from MechWarrior 2. The text briefings are supplemented with very bad CGI and are hard to understand. The objectives seem so vague, and at one point you're given an order by your commanding officer you have to ignore in order to progress. It's often hard to understand how what you're doing contributes to getting the legacy back. And instead of well-written fluff material for the situation report, you get a curt reiteration of the objective screen. Ghost Bears also features a bunch of new voice acting that sounds like it was recorded in the same bathroom as Symphony of the Night's dialogue. Probably at the same time, in the next stall over.
We need your best efforts. You fight for the sacred honor of Clan Ghost Bear. Do not let us down.
The new voice supplements the original computer voice, but not in a way that makes sense. Most likely they couldn't get the computer voice actress back, so now there are two computer voices, and one of them sucks.
Enemy mech destroyed.
Primary objective, defend HPG. Successful. Secondary objective, destroy all enemy mechs. Successful.
Proceed to mech hangar for shutdown.
Mission variety in Ghost Bears is greatly improved over MechWarrior 2, but it's handled so poorly I wish it hadn't been. Ghost Bears has the first appearance of spaceship extravehicular activity segments, where you're on the surface of a ship defending it from attack, that would show up again in the infamous and stupid Ice Ship campaign from MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries. It actually sucks slightly harder in Ghost Bears because the surface of the ship is tiny so you can't move. It's basically a turret match. One of the missions is in a giant, open quotes, forest, close quotes. Forest, huh? I would have guessed these were giant stone golf tees flipped upside down. The only forest in the world with no canopy, and no branches. Even worse is the underwater mission, where your weapons are replaced with PPCs and slow-moving and incredibly glitchy torpedoes. This mission is a huge pain in the ass. The enemies are way too tough, torpedoes are short-range and extremely slow, and at the end you have to go into a cave, in a game with an engine that cannot handle caves. You can see through most of the cave before you go inside. You can see the whole cave on satellite view. You can eject through the roof of the cave underwater. And the dumbest part is that the enemies aren't limited to PPCs and torpedoes. They get normal lasers. Why can't I have normal lasers? They told me this mech was specially outfitted to fight underwater, and yet they gave it the worst possible weapons for the job? Lasers are way better because they're not slow as hell, and since damage causes parts of your mech to be flooded and destroyed almost instantly, you don't need the extra punch of a PPC. Just any old gun will do. On the mission, you also run across enemy massive open quotes subs, close quotes. They aren't that dangerous, but incredibly hard to kill because they have a million tons of armor, plus they behave like aerotech fighters. When you blow one up in the Titanium edition, you hear,
Enemy aircraft destroyed.
wow, nice cover there. The tip-off should have been that the enemy submarines have wings. Basically, the only cool stuff that actually works as intended is the collection of Inner Sphere mechs and the paltry number of new weapons. I wasn't exactly clamoring for Inferno SRMs and Narc beacons, and the Inner Sphere mechs all have screwed up loadouts. There are a few new music tracks, none of which stand up to the original MechWarrior 2 soundtrack. There's a new rendered intro cinematic, which features one of the stiffest, most unnatural Kodiaks ever doing something vague. The huge-tastic open quotes, new, close quotes, combat simulator is random map, random enemies, and single combat only so you can't take a squad. So long, replayability, we hardly knew ye. I know Ghost Bear's Legacy is about the Ghost Bears, but there are still too many snow missions. The new trial of position map is awful, ugly, and badly laid out. I get the sense they couldn't figure out the engagement sphere for MechWarrior 2, so they put all of the enemies at different distances, and in order to stop the mission without killing them all, you have to eject. You get a few new mechs, but they're not that good. The Stone Rhino in particular sucks outright. It's supposed to be an epic behemoth of a mech, but it's built in the same game engine as the Direwolf and the Kodiak, the other 100-ton mechs. So here's the problem. Every 100-ton mech is functionally identical in loadouts and capability, so the only thing that's important is the physics or the shape of the machine, and the Stone Rhino is huge. So you take the same weight, speed, armor, and damage capability as the Direwolf, but make it twice as big, twice as easy to hit, and make the hitboxes for the arms cover up most of the rest of the mech, so they last a grand total of 4 seconds into the fight. It took until MechWarrior 4 to finally fix this problem, but until then there was basically no point to have more than one mech of each tonnage, except to cherry-pick the one with the best hitbox. So again, no point. Some of the designs are questionable, and others like the Naga just did not make the transition to 3D. If you look at official Battletech artwork, it looks fine, maybe even a bit badass. In-game though, it's comical. The damage wireframes for the new mechs are also a bit overdrawn, with unnecessary details filling in what's supposed to just be, what else, a wireframe. The Naga is still the best default mech because of the obscenely overpowered Arrow 4 missile launcher. Effortless resupply means it has no ammo restriction. You can put a pair of these in a mech with enough ammo to gut every enemy on a mission and never have to worry about the expense. Trying to fit an Arrow 4 in Mech 2 Mercs would bankrupt you, but in Ghost Bears, it's a legitimate strategy. Aside from the underwater level, this is the best tactic available to you. Its absurd range means on open levels you can sit in one place and annihilate every enemy at range before they even activate. The only time the Arrow 4 seems remotely balanced is in the Titanium edition, where most of your projectile weapons vanish a split second after the round leaves the chamber. The missions this time around are broken up into shorter campaigns, like the contracts of MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries. Each longer mission contains a few levels on the same planet, and you can only take one mech for each lancemate. During the mission you can change loadouts, but you can't get a new mech, so you have to pick carefully. Unfortunately, you have no idea what the later missions are going to require when you pick your mech, so you end up piloting the wrong thing. Even though this could get you to feel a bit more attached to your mech, it doesn't really work, because like in MechWarrior 2, it's fully repaired, rearmed, and customized between each mission. And in Mech 2 Mercs, you take all of the mechs you own on a contract, and can swap between them at will between levels. If you go on a solo mission, your lancemate's mech is automatically deselected, and it's not given back to you at the end of the mission. Ghost Bears blesses us with a sequence of needless cinematics to waste our time between every mission, showing your shuttle taking off, docking with a jump ship, making a jump, separating from the jump ship, and so forth. Every time. Woo! In glorious 240p. For such a small game, it's also loaded with mistakes, like the objective screen telling you to rendezvous with dropship Justice, and the nav point telling you to rendezvous with dropship Titan. And they're the same dropship. On the first mission, you defend an HPG uplink. Wait, that's an HPG uplink? It looks like a satellite dish. I thought they looked like this, so they could generate a hyper pulse. All the Ghost Bears are going to get off that is static and snow. I have so many complaints, it's not even funny. Mech 2's great-looking planet artwork for the loading screens is conspicuously absent. Instead, you get a blank-ass composite image with red text. Red text. Ugh, looks like the default text you'd get from Windows Movie Maker. If you complete all missions without failing or dying once, you get an extra 5 missions to compete for a blood name. On paper, that sounds like a cool achievement, something extra for the hardcore fan. It isn't though, because a fair few of the missions are broken in the worst way imaginable. Ghost Bears really is the worst kind of expansion pack. It requires MechWarrior 2 to install and play, but none of the added content is usable in the original game. The new mechs and weapons are locked to a glitchy, unfinished heap of a game. So overall, no, I don't recommend Ghost Bears Legacy. The whole game feels like it was developed by people working with a gun to their heads, churning out forced content with no real innovation or polish. And if you can't manage either innovation or polish, your game isn't worth playing. The Hidden Developers Room suggests Ghost Bears was made by a team of about 8 people over the course of 2 months. So how could you expect it to be awesome? If you're dead set on getting yourself a copy of Ghost Bears Legacy, a lot of the same suggestions for MechWarrior 2 apply. The original DOS-Win version is your best bet, followed by the Battle Pack edition. You don't have to worry about several dozen special editions either, just find an eBay listing and go for it. Again, don't buy the Titanium edition unless you have a CD-ROM shaped hole in your head and you just need something to fill it with. You have to verify your Mech 2 disc to install Ghost Bears. It is an expansion pack, but that's not a big deal. You can even swap between multiple disc images in DOSBox, you just have to look up how. I could tell you, but I'm kind of tired and angry. As the programmers themselves say in the developers room, just wait for add-on number 2, cause that one is the shit.
are a mercenary from the Inner Sphere, a combat-hardened killer, piloting your mech into darker, more desperate realms of the Battletech universe. Loyalty and honor have yielded to savagery and greed in your quest for money, power, and fame.
With your own hard-earned money, you must build and equip your mercenary army, managing the cost of weaponry, maintenance, and repairs.
New Inner Sphere mechs to control, and over 30 challenging new missions to conquer.
Control your destiny, exploit the spoils of victory, or adapt to the consequences of failure.
Prepare yourself for the ultimate battle against the invading clans.
Mercenaries is the most ruthless combat sim ever created.
Now, new Inner Sphere weapons and mechs create virtually unlimited multiplayer gameplay.
It's a whole new combat experience.
MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries, available for Windows 95 and DOS from Activision.
Mission successful.